he drew all those drawings, all those illustrations that were on there, and he drew them out of his own imagination. And they supported a story that was supported only by those drawings, not by anything else. And just like Mr. Milius drew those drawings from his own imagination, Mr. Durst's testimony came straight from his imagination. Now, I'd like to tell you I drew this book, but I was told that I should probably tell you, because I've been made fun of repeatedly, that I was trying to tell you to make sure you knew that wasn't a real book. And I was told that you guys are probably smart enough to realize that wasn't a real book. So in case anyone's not sure, you can't go on the Kindle or Amazon and buy that book, How to Get Away with Murder. I don't think anyone's confused about that, but I was told I should let you know. But it's very clear from Mr. Milius's presentation that after the Galveston trial, Mr. Durst, the defendant in this case, pulled out his book on how to get away with murder. He opened it up and he added another entry. Watch, wait, see what the evidence is, and don't be afraid to swap your lies when necessary and change your story. And that's how he has learned to get away with murder. Let's go back to Susan Berman. What was Susan's life like in 1999 and 2000 during the reinvestigation? She was raised in quite wealthy circumstances. She had some early success with her book Easy Street when it was optioned. And then came Paul Kaufman into her life and their Broadway production or musical or endeavor, The Dreyfus Affair. And after that, things really went downhill for Susan. You heard from Richard Markey. He was one of her close friends. He went to the movies with her. He was probably the last one, other than the defendant, to see her alive. And what did he tell you about Susan's financial condition at the time she was killed? She was sliding into debt. She was struggling to survive. You heard from David Eisenman, her hairdresser. And when you're styling someone's hair on a regular basis for significant periods of time, you get to know your customers and you talk to them when they're in the chair, right? And you develop a relationship with them. And what did he say? She was afraid she'd be homeless. That's what Susan told him. And we can talk about what these two individuals said about Susan's life. We could talk about the several other witnesses who told you very similar things about what her life was like. But a picture is worth 1,000 words. And this is what Susan's life was like shortly before she was executed in her own home. She was living without flooring on concrete slab. She was using drapes, blankets, and towels for windows. She had very sparse furniture. It was rough for her. Susan was financially desperate. And I point this out because I ask you, people are survivalists, right? That's our instinct, is survival. And when you're accustomed to a certain way of life, that's what you try to achieve for yourself, always. And so what would a desperate person do to survive? What would someone who was in Susan's financial condition do to survive? But more appropriately, the question is, what would a desperate Susan Berman do to survive? That's the real question. Linda Obst, who had these deep conversations with her, told us something about this.
Most of her charm, except for love, was in order to survive. She was always in survivalist mode.
She was always in survivalist mode. Steven Silverman told you a little bit about Susan Berman. She was extremely shrewd. I don't know how to put it any better than to say she could see all the angles to something. Susan Berman was extremely sharp, extremely cunning, extremely resourceful. And you know that from all the evidence you heard from that stand.
Was Susan a manipulative person?
Extremely.
And can you explain why you gave that answer?
If one way or another, Susan would get whatever it was she wanted. You know, if she might start out politely, but then she would really start threatening you or telling you, "I did this for you, I did that for you."
And is this
Susan, excuse me, never took no for an answer.
And is this personal experience that you had with her?
Yes.
If I would ask you, how persistent a person was Susan?
Extremely.
So people are predictable. We discussed this yesterday. And people act in conformance with their habit and customs and their personality and how they were raised. And we ask ourselves, what would Susan do to survive? When times get tough, people do what they need to do to survive. Susan would kick into survivalist mode, and she would manipulate to survive. That's how Susan survived. Now, David Eisenman talked about, throughout the years, Susan was, at first when she came to him and he started doing her hair, she was doing pretty well financially. And then as the years passed, she was not doing so well, and she wasn't paying him for a long period of time. But Susan Berman told David Eisenman that she always had an ace in the hole. And what did he say? Susan would tell me, "Bobby will give me money. Bobby always takes care of me." That's what Susan would tell Bobby throughout the time he was cutting her hair, that her good friend Bobby would provide her money. He was the one taking care of her. He was her ace in the hole. But then he spoke with Susan about 5 weeks before her murder, when her last appointment was. And actually, I think about it, when you look at the day planner, she has an appointment with him on December 28th. And you back up 5 weeks, that's about right, because she cut her hair every 5 weeks. And what did he say about this, what they discussed, this last appointment, 5 weeks before her murder?
He was expecting a check from him, and it wasn't showing up.
So Susan was expecting a check from Bobby, her ace in the hole, and it wasn't showing up.
But she became more and more distressed.
Did you remember her telling you that the money wasn't coming fast enough from Bobby?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was in this last discussion you had with her.
Yes.
And when she was saying that, the money's not coming fast enough from Bobby, what was her demeanor like? Was it normal? Was it different?
The laughs were gone. I mean, I could tell she was under a lot of stress, and she was very upset, and she didn't know where she was going to get her rent money and things like that.
So there was a change in Susan. Her ace in the hole, the person who always would give her money, we now know throughout the years why he's given her so much money. He's not generous with anyone else. He needs to keep her close, needs to keep her quiet. This check's not coming quick enough, and she's desperate. And the laughs are gone, and she's anxious, and she's nervous, and she's upset with her friend Bobby. And that's where she was mentally 5 weeks before she was killed.